The Maraid, Book 7, Chapter 10. The transmission was broadcasted on all Fallen frequencies. Lacking at the time the ability to crack Fallen encryptions, the Master of Crows could discern only that the Fallen houses were all talking to each other. This was a thing that had never happened before. Then the Techians looked earthward and saw the Fallen there becoming bolder. Tactics suggested they were planning a massive attack. We had no interplanetary arrays, no way to warn Earth. We thought we would be able to do nothing but watch. But then the wolves arrived from the Jovians. Their army was hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions, strong. A dark wave that washed over the reef, rushing toward the Earth. As soon as we saw them, it was clear that if the wolves reached Earth, the city would fall. Seemingly oblivious to our existence, the bulk of the wolf fleet stopped to regroup at Ceres. The Queen's decision was this: attack the House of Wolves, thereby saving Earth but revealing the reef's presence to any and all enemies in the quadrant, or remain silent, preserving the reef's invisibility, but allowing the city to perish. Her harbingers ripped into Ceres, destroying the asteroid and killing Varixis, Kell of Wolves, and more than half his house. The remaining wolves scattered, burrowing deep into the belt for cover. There, new claimants to the Kell ship quickly arose. Urxis, Wolf Baroness, Perixis, the Howling, and Skolas, the Rabid. Book 8, Chapter 1. After the scatter, the front runner for the Kell ship was Urxis, Wolf Baroness. While Skolas and Perixis scrambled over the Calyx servitors, Urxis secured command of the Orbix servitors. Their history is still unclear, but the Orbix originate with either another fallen house, perhaps one that the wolves absorbed long ago, or a modification of the Calyx servitors. Either way, the Orbix servitors held permissions on the Calyx servitors, which allowed Urxis to wreak havoc among her rivals' forces at the start of the Reef Wars. Chapter 2. What Pecas's assault lacked in finesse, it made up for in sheer numbers and desperation. Urxis's catches were pinned against Eos, and the two sides engaged in the bloody, bitter battle known as the Eos Clash, which left Urxis dead and both fleets nearly decimated. In the aftermath, the Crows salvaged one Orbix servitor, Mecher Orbix 11, believed to be the last of its programming. Though technically a victory for Skolas, the Eos Clash came at a terrible cost for him. He docked Pecas's arms and demoted him to Dreg as punishment for his recklessness. After the Eos Clash, Skolas changed his strategy. Chapter 3. With Skolas and Perixis still fighting, no one expected either to attack the reef. So by the time Paladin Abrazir arrived at Amethyst, it was too late. The Silent Fang, led by Drevis herself, had massacred almost everyone in the station, including Coven leader Pinar Venge. Paladin Zir gave chase and followed the Fang to Iris, where behind the glare of Iris's brightness, a wolf Ketch lay in wait. But the Ketch was no match for Zir's smaller, faster ships, or her ferocity. When the Battle of Iris was over, however, It was not Drevis at Zaire's feet. It was Perixus. Greyer, another of Skolas' loyal vassals, had attacked Perixus' catch at the same time that Drevis had attacked Amethyst. He too had lured Perixus to Iris. Then the Silent Fang had used Iris's unusual brightness to disappear just as Zaire and Perixus arrived in the system. Chapter 4. After a string of defeats, at Amethyst, at Hygeia, arguably at Iris, Prince Uldren's crows finally made headway against the Wolves' encryption. They quickly discovered a seemingly unimportant piece of information. The House of Wolves had incorrectly calculated the eccentricity of the asteroid Bamberga. So Paladin Imogen Reef chased Drevis, Wolf Baroness, directly into Bamberga's trajectory. Drevis's catch was destroyed, and both she and her high servitor, Calix IV, were captured. It was the first decisive Reef victory since the scatter, but on her way back to Vesta with her captives, Paladin Reef was attacked at Pallas. Chapter 5. Under Skolas' vassal Persis, called Pallas Bane, the Wolves amassed the largest wolf fleet that had been seen since the scatter. The Queen could not use her harbingers against them. If she did, Imogen Reef and her fleet and all the people of Pallas would have been killed as well. For years, the siege endured. At first, neither side dared to attack the other. On Pallas, Paladin Reef knew that Persis had the firepower to destroy the asteroid. Above Pallas, Persis held back, hoping to rescue Drevis and Calix IV and the other wolves that Paladin Reef had captured at the Battle of Bamberga's Wrath. The Queen sought to defuse the siege by sending Armada Paladins Abrazir and Kamala Rior into the Hildian asteroids, where Skolas was rumored to be hiding, but with the help of his tactician Beltrick, the Veiled, Skolas thwarted them. The stalemate over Pallas was broken by, of all things, a Dreg. Ironically dubbed Weeksis the Meek, the Dreg led dozens of followers in an unsanctioned attack on Pallas. They managed to blast a hole in the Athens hull, but were stopped soon after by Commander Halam Fen. Weeksis and the surviving followers were imprisoned alongside those they had come to save. Chapter 6. Weeksis's attack may have been unsuccessful, but it inspired another, deadlier assault. This time, Persis, the bane of Pallas herself, led another strike, blasting through the same Athens hull breach that Weeksis had weakened in his assault. Persis's strike team managed to free Calix IV, but Paladin Imogen Reef cut them off outside Drevis's cell. Persis might have escaped, but she refused to retreat without Drevis. Paladin Reef destroyed Calix IV to prevent the wolves from recovering it, and eventually the wolves were forced back, but not before Persis slew Paladin Reef with her own blade. Finally, Commander Halam Fen, Imogen Reef's protege, was able to establish a line of communication with the rest of the Reef. Working with the Techians and the Crows, they created an enormous visual illusion of the Harbingers, making it seem as if the Queen had finally decided to cut her losses and destroy the asteroid. it worked. The false harbingers so scared the wolf fleet that they broke ranks. Then the combined forces of Commander Fen, Paladin Leona Brill, and Paladin Kamala Rior slammed, capturing Persis, Pallas Bane, and driving the rest of the wolves off. Halam Fen brought Drevis to Vesta, years after Imogen Reef had set out to do so. As a reward for his service, the Queen bequeathed him Reef's place among the 7 paladins. Chapter 7. Finally, Beltric the Veiled left the Hildians and massed his fleet at Fortuna to replenish his Ketch's ether from the organic compounds found on the asteroid's surface. His ships landed on Fortuna one at a time, the rest forming a defensive screen around its surface. He believed that Paladin Zir would attack the screen and destroy her fleet against the shield wall. But Abrazir's fury over the Battle of False Tidings had chilled over the years into an icy, clever resolve. She separated her forces in two and engaged Beltric's Veil with what he thought was her entire host. But in secret, Abra deployed her second fleet with a weapon the Reef had been working on since Bamberga. Charybdis, a gravity weapon strong enough to knock asteroids off course. Charybdis caught asteroid Tenet in its beam and flung it into Fortuna, destroying both and severely damaging Beltric's fleet. Beltric was easily captured in the ensuing chaos and brought swiftly to the Queen. The fight became known as the Fortuna plummet, as are, on occasion, the remains of Fortuna and Tenet as well. After the Fortuna plummet, one of Prince Uldren's crows returned with a message from a fallen by the name of Varix of the House of Judgment. Chapter 8. In desperation, Skolas personally led an all-out assault on the military fortress of Cybele. Little did he know that the Queen knew of his plans, thanks to the word of Varix of the House of Judgment. No sooner had Skolas' Ketches arrived at the asteroid than all 4 Armada Paladins, Abrazir, Kamala Rior, Leona Brill, and Halam Fen, caught him in a pincer movement. Calix 12, the High Servitor of Scrivix, the Sharp-Eyed, tried to escape, but Abrazir chased it down. Skolas' Cybele uprising had failed. He, Scrivix, Calix 12, and the rest of his leaders were cast into the Queen's prison. The Reef Wars were effectively over. Chapter 9. Varix of the House of Judgment declared Queen Mara Sov the new Kell of Wolves, and advised those captured at Cybele to serve her. The first among these to pledge their loyalty to the Queen was one called Savix, who was given the honor of serving in the Queen's throne room to the right of the Queen herself. Chapter 10. Though many wolves knelt to the Queen, some refused to admit the war was over. A group of wolves rallied under the banner of a new would-be Kell, Valinix, called the Ravenous. But before Valinix could strike at the Reef struck at him. Lieutenant Petra Venge, a corsair who had served under Paladin Abrazir during the Hildian campaign, hunted down and captured Valinix.